So you already live in Utah or near Salt Lake City, perhaps you're considering making the move here, and you want to know the best suburbs to live in near Salt Lake City, this is the video for you. In this video, I'm going to cover the top 9 suburbs surrounding Salt Lake City that you might want to genuinely consider if you're making that move yourself, or if you're just looking for a change of pace or a change of scenery if you already live here. Now, with this top 9, I'm not using data for so many of my other videos. I've done so much research in terms of what different websites are saying, what rankings are coming into play, but for this video, this is my opinion. So if you disagree, that's okay. We all have different opinions. This just happens to be my opinion based on someone who's lived in Utah almost my entire life, and I am a Utah native. I've lived in many of these different areas surrounding Salt Lake City, and I call Salt Lake City my home, and it's where I was born. And because this is my opinion, I really do hope, if you do disagree, I would love to see those comments down below, because I love having those conversations. It's not a time to battle, but it is definitely worth sharing differences in opinion, and I think it's really fun to have those conversations. And ultimately, a lot of candidates, I actually wrote down close to 24 places that I would consider putting in my top 9, but then from there I whittled it down based on my personal experiences, both selling real estate and helping clients make the move into these different cities, and the feedback that I've seen from them, but also injecting a lot of my personal opinion as well. And I do that because so often I share facts and data with my clients or with people that I'm meeting and prospects, and they too want to know what my opinion is, and not just what the facts are. They actually want to know my opinions. And that is what this video is for right here. And if you and I have not met yet, my name is Scott Steele, and I'm a local Utahn, and I absolutely love helping people discover all things Utah, including Utah real estate. And as much as I love helping people discover these things through my video content, I love even more when you reach out to me. So give me a call, shoot me a text, or send me an email. I would love to connect with you. And as a licensed real estate agent here in Utah, I would love to be your real estate resource of choice if you are indeed making a move either in or out of the state of Utah. And with that out of the way, let's jump right into the video, and I'm going to count down from number 9 up to number 1 in terms of what my personal favorite suburbs or areas that are close to Salt Lake City. These are places that are within 30 to 40 minutes of Salt Lake City. So a lot of places like Provo or Mapleton down in the south, or places that are further up north, don't quite make the list. They're a little too far away, nor do places that are too far east or west. So I'm really looking at places that people would consider calling home if they want to consider themselves living in a suburb or an area close to downtown Salt Lake City. And with that in mind, I'm actually not comparing Salt Lake City neighborhoods in this video, just the suburbs, the surrounding areas around Salt Lake City. So I'm not covering any of the popular neighborhoods like the Greater Avenues or Sugar House or some of the really popular areas in Salt Lake City itself. I'll cover that in a different video, but in this one, let's get started with the top 9 places that I consider the best suburbs to live in near Salt Lake City. Coming in at number 9 on my personal list is Alpine. Alpine sits in the northern part of Utah County, tucked away on the northeastern corner. And the thing that's most appealing to me about Alpine, besides the really beautiful, expensive homes, is the proximity to nature. You have Corner Canyon for mountain biking and hiking just right there in your backyard. You also have American Fork Canyon, where you can make that beautiful drive up the Alpine Loop. You can drop over the other side of the Wasatch Mountains into Heber or Midway, and even make a quick trip to Park City. There's also a really close route to get over to Sundance Ski Resort if that's your thing as well. I also really love Alpine for its exquisite location. It's located off the major highways, so there's no major roads or highways going through this little corner of the valley. And for that reason, it's my number 9 best place to live if you want to be in the suburbs or surrounding Salt Lake City. Number 8 on the list is just north of Salt Lake City. It's very comparable to Alpine. It's just a little bit older, and it sits on the north side of Salt Lake City, tucked away in the valley right there at the south end of Davis County. Bountiful for decades has been one of the best places to live if you want that quiet, quaint neighborhood feel. The only freeway that's passing nearby is on the outskirts on the far west side of Bountiful. Bountiful offers its own vibe, its own uniqueness, and surprisingly, a lot of people that I've met and talked to over the years, including just this last week, meeting people that have moved from out of state but made their home right here in Bountiful. It's a great place to call home, and it's a really quick trip to Salt Lake International Airport as well as downtown Salt Lake City. Next up is number 7 7 on the list, and that's Draper, Utah. Draper sits in the southeast quadrant or corner of the Salt Lake Valley and just about 30 minutes away from downtown Salt Lake City. So getting to the airport is still really convenient, and with its east side location in the Salt Lake Valley, it's one of the most desirable places to live in all of Salt Lake County, and the home values in Draper are higher than surrounding cities, including Sandy. And I think Draper has become so incredibly popular because for so long it was a lot of farmland, and a lot of people have chosen to make their home in Draper with larger lots. So if you're looking for a property with a little more room than maybe some of the other neighboring cities, Draper might be a really good spot for you if you can afford the prices in Draper, because they are a little bit higher. And my favorite thing about Draper, I think, is you do genuinely feel like you're in Salt Lake City because you can see the city off in the distance. You're close enough to be within 25 to 30 minutes of being at all the different places you might want to go visit in the city and the airport, and it still feels like you're right there in the city. All right, next up is number 6, and that's Syracuse. Out of all of the cities or suburbs on this list, Syracuse is going to feel like you're furthest away from Salt Lake City. Not only is it further away, but it's going to feel as though it is because of where it's located. It's just north of Salt Lake City. It's a longer drive. It might take you 40 minutes to get into downtown Salt Lake City, although on a good day, you might make it in 30 minutes. And with a new freeway being built and just opened this last week, that might cut that drive time down as well. And Syracuse is one of the fastest growing cities in the state and has become a really hotbed for families and people that want to find a new development in a new neighborhood. It's seeing a lot of that going on. So that might be the right vibe for you if you're looking to be outside of the city without spending as much money as it would cost to be in Salt Lake County. You might find a less expensive home and get more for your money in Syracuse than you will in any other city on this list. And moving to the south is Saratoga Springs. So now we're going the opposite direction from Salt Lake City to the south, down into the northern part of Utah County, again, just like Alpine. However, Saratoga Springs sits to the west, whereas Alpine sits to the east. Saratoga Springs has been one of the fastest growing cities for so long here in the state, and it sits right there along the side of Utah Lake. And one of the major draws to Saratoga Springs is everything's new. It feels like everything is new, from the high schools to the middle schools or junior highs to the shopping to the homes, the developments. Everything feels and looks really new. So if that's something that's really important to you, that will come into play. But they're also extending the new freeway, the Mountain View Corridor, down into Saratoga Springs to help with transportation, because with all this growth, it's one of the major concerns. But Saratoga Springs is a phenomenal place to live. It's a place that I would actually consider moving to myself, and I don't hear a lot of people complaining about living in Saratoga Springs. Number 4 on the list is something that I do have bias towards because I actually live there, and that's in South Jordan, or more specifically in Daybreak. And I put this number 4 on my list because number 1, I didn't want to show too much bias, but number 2, I talk to a lot of people that experience South Jordan or Daybreak, and it's kind of a juxtaposition between the older parts of South Jordan have huge homes with very large lots, whereas Daybreak is a master planned community where everything's much denser. It has a denser population than all of the other surrounding suburbs, and that might turn a lot of people off. They've also created a unique vibe in Daybreak where all of the houses, their garages are in the back along alleyways, and every home has a front porch. And the reason why the development was designed this way is to try to bring community together and kind of step back in time, in a time period where we had more community. And I can attest to the fact that it worked because I have seen and witnessed it over these last 8 years as I've chosen to live in Daybreak. And I think if I would have put this at number 1 on the list, it really would have been a little disingenuous, but I will honestly say these next 3 cities, if I'm putting them ahead of the very place that I reside, these are places that I would genuinely consider moving to, and I think you should too if you're making the move to Utah. And with that said, number 3 on the list is Lehi. Lehi sits again at the north end of Utah County, tucked in between Saratoga Springs and Alpine, right along the I-15 corridor. This has been an incredibly growing area with all of the tech boom happening right here, or as we call it, the Silicon Slopes. We see so many companies moving in, including Adobe and many other tech companies, but we also see a lot of businesses that build up because of the growth. So there's outlet malls, there's shopping, there's restaurants, there's all sorts of really cool things happening, including Thanksgiving Point, right here in the heart of Lehi. Lehi is a bigger city and has been growing tremendously, and that growth is not going to slow down. The nice thing about Lehi is you can really get south into Provo very quickly, but more importantly, in my opinion, you can get right up into Salt Lake City within 35 minutes. You can be at the airport within 35 minutes. So you still feel really close and connected to Salt Lake City. You're just south of Draper, so it really fits in. It's kind of funny how so many of these cities like Draper, Alpine, Saratoga Springs, and now Lehi, they're all right there in that same spot. We're going to talk about number 2 on the list here coming up, but you'll also find that number 1 on my list, when I get to it, will be in the same location as well. Okay, number 2 on the list is a place that has a lot of history when this valley here in Salt Lake was first settled, and that is Holladay. My office where I'm sitting right now filming this video is located in Cottonwood Heights, and I could literally walk 3 minutes across the road and be in the city of Holladay. Holladay in the past, when this valley was first settled, was a vacation home destination. It was a place that people would go to get away for the weekend, and that shows. There are a lot of estate homes and some really expensive real estate in Holladay. They've also developed a nice, quaint little downtown area with shopping and grocery stores and things like that. So if you're looking for a small town vibe, Holladay might be at play. If, of course, you can afford the real estate there. It is a little more expensive. You might find, though, that there are many homes that are affordable that are just on the perimeter of Holladay that still give you access and the lifestyle of living in Holladay within just minutes away. And with all that said, we're going to number 1 on the list. This would probably shock a lot of people that I'm connected with, maybe my friends, but this is Highland, Utah. And like I had mentioned earlier, Highland is also right there with Lehi, Alpine, Saratoga Springs, all of those places. Highland sits right there on the south side of South Mountain, separating Utah County from Salt Lake County. And I have some really close friends who choose to live in Highland. And each and every time I drive through Highland, especially when I'm looking at real estate for clients, it always impresses me. And it's definitely the number 1 place on my list due to so many factors, including those same things that I shared about Alpine being close in proximity to the mountain biking and the adventure that you might have on South Mountain or Corner Canyon, or driving up American Fork Canyon and going skiing at Sundance Ski Resort, or perhaps making that Alpine loop. There's so many reasons to love living in Highland, being just 35 minutes away from Salt Lake City and the airport. And if you're considering making the move to Utah and Alpine's on your list or Lehi's on your list, there's no reason why Highland should not also be on your list as well. And so if you're considering moving to the state of Utah, or you already live here and you're looking to make a move or experience a change, I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. Hit me up in the comments, but also reach out to me. You can call me, text me, or email me anytime. You can find my contact information down in the description below or in the pinned comments right here on this very video. And if you're looking to see and experience what life in Utah is really like, check out this next video. And until next time, thanks guys.